a second, and we've got some questions we're going to work through, and we'll start with you. Dane County's become a lot more diverse since I was a little kid. We have a significant African American population, significant Latino population, significant Hmong population, and we've done an incredibly lousy job of making sure that our judicial system and our legal system responds well to them. I think there's no question with the high level of minority incarceration. Is there anything that you as a judge can do to respond to that? And tell us a little bit about your approach to it.
This has been an ongoing problem for many years, as you just indicated. And in 2003, when the study was initially done, about half of all African American young men in the system were either incarcerated or were under supervision. A task force was put together to try to figure out why that was. And there were some recommendations made. And there were some recommendations implemented, but not surprisingly, those recommendations cost money, some of them, and some were put into place, but to my knowledge, there has not been any follow-up. So one thing we need to do is look at the steps that were taken, the recommendations by the task force, and see if they're working or not. I believe that as part of the justice system, I mean, unfortunately, as a judge, once someone is in your courtroom, they're already in the system. But I believe that in looking at implementing these programs, you have to look at how the arrest rates for arresting officers differ between whites and minorities. For example, how the DA sentences differently, and if the DA sentences differently, and how judges sentence differently. I'm sorry, DAs charge differently. So we cannot, though, look at our justice system in a vacuum. I believe that we need to look at all of the different groups that can help solve this problem, and I am more than willing to be part of those groups. For example, it's not surprising that a number of the people in the system are high school dropouts, have AODA issues, and probably live in poverty or unemployment. And I think that we need to look at this as a systemic problem, look at all of the resources, from parents to teachers to social workers to after-school programs, to embrace this concept of cradle to college and help these students get a leg up, and these young people get a leg up. And I am committed to helping in whatever way I can, in a way that I'm asked to do that.
Thank you, Attorney Lanford, and Judge St. John.
I'm very glad you asked this question. Addressing the racial disparity issue is one of the main reasons I wanted to be a judge, and my experience working in the abuse and neglect system, in the criminal justice system, gives me a good background for dealing with this issue. There's some terrible statistics. Attorney Lanford referred to some of them. Minorities make up 21% of the population from 10 to 17-year-olders in Wisconsin. They take up 60% of the juvenile people in juvenile confinement. We also know that black men are sentenced to prison at twice the rate of white people when it comes to drug-related offenses. So we definitely have a crisis on our hands. Circuit court judges are at the forefront of dealing with this issue. We sentence defendants, so we get to make a big call about who goes to prison and who doesn't. We also have a big ability to work on initiatives specifically designed to keep people out of confinement, to keep people on the streets, and to get the support they need not to be confined. As a circuit court judge, there's a number of things I'm doing to address the issue. Number one, I use the tools that circuit court judges have to keep people out of jail. I'm a strong advocate of diversion programs that address the underlying causes of crime, a lot of times mental health and drug addiction issues, while keeping people in the streets and in the community. I also, when appropriate, find people eligible for expungement of their records. That's a way when young offenders come into the system who have fairly lower level offenses, they can keep that off their record. Another thing I'm doing is working on broader initiatives. I'm involved in several domestic violence committees right now. And then the third thing, I'm reaching out to other community organizations. I realize that judges cannot be silos. The problems that I see in my courtroom don't start there, and the solutions can't end there. I'm working a lot with other organizations to come up with better solutions. I'm also working with organizations and be able to use my role as a judge as a platform for discussing how investing in our resources and our community is a criminal justice solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Keep the microphone.